IUIC thinks King Arthur was black? Yeah, what's going on, party people? The place to be. I go by the name of the BK Apologist, transmitting all the way live. New York is the city, Brooklyn is the borough. What's good? What's popping? You know what I mean? And of course, we have, the best chat on Al Gore's internet because we have people like Tyler Lott on the check-in. We got Angela J10. We got Nicholas DFC. Yes, it's me again, sir. It's me again. Of course, we got the real American Mr. Phil Fox. Always a pleasure to see you, sir. Yeah, so we here, and you know the drill. If you have not yet already, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend that it is him again. Yes, it is I, BK Apologist. And make sure you have subscribed because you might think that you have subscribed to the channel and you might not have. So check your subscription button, make sure you pressed it, and make sure you press the bell so you can be notified every time your boy pops up and does what he does, right? And if you like how it goes down with BK, you can become a monthly supporter via Patreon, where you get an assortment of goodies to enhance your personal Bible studies. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? So, you kind of know what this is about for the most part. You know what we do over here. Let me get some water here. Hold on. So today's episode, we're looking at IUIC, and they're actually taking a page from the conscious community. Those who have been following BK since he's been here, my main focus until recently has been the conscious community, right? The Kemetic people, Nawabians, things of that sort, And in that community, they love to retrofit black identity into historical figures, right? They'll say Caesar is black. I actually seen memes where they say that Hitler was actually a black man. Captain Crunch was a black man. Like anybody that was famous in antiquity ends up being black somehow, right? And King Arthur, according to IUIC, was a black Israelite, right? And this is like a page that's from the conscious community playbook. Because anybody that was famous in history, Napoleon was black. Custard was black. So we're gonna look at this video, and we're gonna have some commentary. So let's check this out. No, bro, listen, I'm telling you, I'm gonna show you the meme one day. I'm gonna show you. They actually were trying to convince people that Hitler was low key black. That it was, they whitewashed him, and yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. All right, so here we go.
Yep.
A chieftain of the
Go to the next page. That page before that.
Yeah,
read that right there. Yep. There we go.
Yeah, that's it.
Owen in the later book.
Owen, in a later book, of which more will be said hereafter, asserts without the slightest authority that author was the son of Merig Ab Tudri.
That's in the Cambrian biography book we have, which is very old. I showed you that last week with the pages of linen, and it was strings holding them together. That's the old book. So King Arthur's father's name was Merig Ab, like Ibn or son of. Ab with a P or Ab with a B. Arabs say Ibn, like IBN. So,
all right. So let me show you the page that they just quoted from. All right, let me just show you. Let me show you. Hold on. Okay. So I want to talk about the level of disrespect that IUIC has for its own viewers. Okay, because they're playing in front of people's faces and don't care. They are very confident that the audience has as much of a crippling bias as they do. Why am I saying this? Because in this book that they're quoting from, the quote says here, Owen in the later book, this is what the writer's saying in this book. Owen in the latter book, which will be said hereafter, asserts without the slightest authority that Arthur was the son of Migreg that Tedduit. The writer says that this source has no authority in explaining who Arthur was. So they show you the page and they recite it. They say it with great boldness and confidence. The book is actually telling you, the writer's telling you that the source that he's about to cite has no authority when it comes to explaining who Arthur was. And they say it. How is this helping their case? Hey, intellectual soapbox. See you. Salute, salute. Yes, yes. They're literally telling the audience that we're going to cite this writer who's telling us, the reader, that the source that he's using has no authority when it comes to King Arthur. They're actually telling you we don't have evidence here. That's what the writer's saying in this passage. Somehow this slips past the viewers. You gotta be kidding me. But you know how we get down here. You know, we are big fans of context. So we're gonna read a little bit before that particular quote and a little bit after, right? So this is a few sentences prior to that particular passage. It says here, this is what the writer's saying in this book that they're quoting. Okay, it seems impossible to deduce the descent of Arthur from any authentic source. Let me say this again. Again, this is the book that they are citing to prove Arthur. Mind you, before you can even prove his ethnicity, you gotta prove his historicity. And it's not looking good for Arthur here. All right. So it seems impossible to deduce the descent of Arthur from any authentic source. At the end of David Williams' History of Monmouthshire are two different pedigrees of this great monarch, formed partly from British history and partly in the imagination of two Welshmen who could not distinguish a lie from a fact. In other words, this is Fugazi. This book that he's quoting, The History of Monmouthshire, is slum gold $5 Rolex Canal Street. That's what he's saying here. All right. That such has been the character of a Cambrian genealogist is manifest from the life of Saint Cadoc, a Welshman, extant in a cotton manuscript of the 13th century, of which further notice will be taken, where his pedigree is thus accurately deduced: Augustus Caesar, Genut Octavianus Genut Tiberius Genut Gaium, Gaius Genut Claudius Genut Vespasianum, and so forth. This gross absurdity. What gross absurdity? This cotton manuscript for the 13th century that he just quoted, right? This gross absurdity, however, is far exceeded by the pedigree of Lawarch Hen and William Owen's edition of his, quote, heroic elegies. No wonder, therefore, that the phrase of fall at Britain should have become proverbial in the 13th century. Even the boldest editors of the Acta Sectorum allude to this familiar factuity. Factuity is a fancy way of saying garbargio, nonsense, fugazi, as they call it, of the Welsh people, and feigning genealogies. These people are known for faking genealogies. This is what the writer's saying in his book. And referred to Alfred at the year 508, number 8, in what manner it is said that Arthur drew his origin by his mother from that noble leader, Joseph of Arimathea, who buried the Lord. For they write, according to these learned Jesuits, that Helenus, the nephew of Joseph, begot Joshua. Joshua begot Aminadab. Aminadab beget Castellos. Castellos beget Mavael. Mavael begot Lambert, his son, who begot Lergna, of whom Arthur Pendragon begot the noble and famous Arthur. And here's where we get to the passage that they shared. Owen, in a later book of which more will be said hereafter, asserts without the slightest authority that Arthur was the son of Merib of Tuadrig and the 20th in descent from Bern Upland. So the writer, now here's the irony about this book, mind you. The writer's not trying to debunk the claim that Arthur exists, believe it or not. He's on a journey. He's like, I'm going to try to piece together all the sources we have about King Arthur, and we're going to see if he's real or not. So his predisposition isn't to debunk the historicity. His thing is, all right, let's find all the pieces of evidence that we have, and let's see if we could come to a conclusion that he did exist. But he's being real truthful with a lot of the sources that he has. And these sources have, it says here, a lot of these things they feign genealogies, factuity, which is nonsense, right? That's what factuity means, is a bunch of nonsense, or is without the slightest authority. So let's keep reading. And in 501 was a chieftain in the Silurian Britons, and in 517 was elected by the states of Britain to sovereign authority under Pendragon, in English Dragon's Head. The reputed father of Arthur may possibly have taken that surname from the form of his helmet or his crest. The most ancient Arthur, if one may believe him to be actually been the composer of what been ascribed to him, right? So he's like, well, this is what it says. If you want to believe that, he's doubting this, the writer, who appears to have made mention of this Uther is Taliesin, surnamed Bedberdif, the head or chief of the bards, who flourished, as they say, in the 6th century and is certainly mentioned by Samuel, the interpolator of Ninemus, long after 858. He appears to have written the Moirnard of Elegy of Uther, which is found among manuscripts of some antiquity. His name, however, does not occur in the poem itself, though that of Arthur does, which certainly adds nothing to its credit. So it's like he found this poem, but the poem's kind of shaky. And yeah, it has Arthur's name on it, but it doesn't help the credibility of the poem, according to this writer. And has been composed or interpolated after the appearance in 1139 of Geoffrey Monomoth's British History before the publication, where Arthur is never mentioned by any authority, unless Samuel or some other interpolator of Ninnius, if they deserve to be so called. And again, this is from The Life of King Arthur from ancient historians and authentic documents by Joseph Ritson. This is the book that IUIC, these guys are quoting from to prove that King Arthur is an Israelite. This is the book that they're sharing with everybody. And they're quoting it. They're saying this particular passage, this book that this writer is citing, has the least authority when it comes to Arthur. How is that helping their case? How is it? And again, it's a disrespect, and this is for the IUIC viewers who watch this. They're playing in your face. He's quoting, "Hey, you see this? This doesn't have any authority to prove the author is real." But yet somehow that's proof that author is real? Come on, guys. Come on. This is crazy work. This is crazy work. All right. So, okay. Whoop. Something's wrong here. Hold on for a minute, guys. Give me a second here. Uh-huh. Here we go. All right. We good. So, what do other historians say? Now, mind you, this book that was written like mid 1800s. What do the more modern historians and scholars say about the historicity of King Arthur? Never mind his ethnicity, his historicity. Did this man exist? We have DN. Wait, where am I? All right. We have DN Dumville, Sub-Romanian Britain History and Legend, says that the fact of the matter is that there is no historical evidence about Arthur. We must reject them from our histories and above all from the titles of our books. This is what he said. No historical evidence. Okay. This is from N.J. Hyham, King Arthur, Myth Making and History. He says the candid historian must admit that the evidence on the subject is meager, relatively late, and almost wholly fantastic, which actually corroborates what the writer of the book that IUIC was quoting from. That a lot of sources, factually, it's fugazi, right? Least authority, so-called stuff, right? Uh, and this is again from N.J. Hyam elsewhere in the book. He says, then Arthur was produced extraordinary quantities of smoke is in large part because he is so well suited to be a fulcrum of make-believe. But there is no historical fire underlying the stories that congregated around him, just highland myths. So there's a lot of hyperbolic stories about King Arthur. But a lot of times, you see these larger than life legends, but there'll be some kernels of truth behind it. He's saying we don't even have that. We don't even have that. Like we have nothing concrete about King Arthur. And this is KJ Fitzpatrick Matthews, the Arthurian Battle List of the Historical Britannum. This is an online specialist study, summary statement in the studies of the historical Britannum textual history. He says, critical historians, particularly following the lead of David Dumville, have instead shown the Historia Britannum to be a well-constructed piece of synthetic history. Now, this historical Britannum is considered the oldest evidence for Arthur. And this guy's saying that is nothing more than a well-constructed piece of synthetic history. It's a fugazi, bro. R. Hutton, the early author, History and Myth, he says, the earliest sources in which Arthur appears are ambiguous and frequently literary in purpose. They cannot be uncritically treated as evidence for a single historical king. It's literary, right? It's fanciful, but it can't be used as concrete evidence for a historical king. And it's like Is it 100% certain that King Arthur did not exist? I'm not going to say that. But based on many of the historians, the chances that there was an actual King Arthur are very slim. So much so, you shouldn't use it to make a point about whatever point you're trying to make. And the irony is that you picked a book, a part of the book, where the writer is going through these different sources that he himself doesn't trust. And this is the part of the book you want to quote and recite to everybody. So I like, and they tell you they're actually reciting that passage. That this book has the least authority when it comes to explaining who Arthur is. They say it. And they feel great about saying it because they know their audience is going to eat whatever they're saying hook, line, and sinker. They're playing in your face. Like, come on, guys. Is your bias that crippling that you can't just you can't hear what's being said to you? They're literally telling you, hey, the source that we're reciting right now, has no validity when it comes to the point we're trying to make. They are literally saying that to you. And you guys, all praises. All praises? And I showed you multiple sources, 4 or 5 different sources where they're like, listen, Arthur wasn't real. The evidence that we have isn't really evidence. It's literary, but it's not concrete evidence. We should reject the claim, when Arthur said, of Arthur being an actual person. So you guys need to vet your sources, and they do this time and time again. They will use books that undercut their argument time and time again. But they're fine with that because they know you're fine with that. As long as it sounds like it backs up what they're saying, it don't matter. Actually, Unchained Ace, yes, he's right about Bishop Nathaniel and the Black Panther. He actually did say that. I know it's crazy, but it's true. It's true. So to those who are, followers of IUIC, come on, guys. I get you want your identity. I get you want to feel, you want dignity. I get that. Right? Everyone wants to be respected. Everyone wants to have an identity that resonates with them. I get that. But at what cost? You're going to purposely be ignorant? Because they're saying it to you. Hey, guys, this source that we're citing has no authority in backing up our claim that Arthur was real, let alone a black man. This is where we at. Don't be taken for a fool. Because they're playing in your face. And they're confident to do that because they believe that you're never gonna, you're not gonna fact check, you're not gonna look, you're gonna take whatever they feed you and you're gonna appreciate it. No matter how crazy or how false it is. They listen. They don't think highly of you guys. Your own leadership does not think highly of you. The teachers in your organization don't think highly of you. Why would they should never have felt so comfortable in quoting that to you guys? They should have been like, oh, these guys ain't dumb. If I say this, they're gonna see that I'm you know, I'm wild. They don't feel that. They don't feel the need to make sure that all that ducks are lined in a row and crossing T's and dotting I's. That's like, we don't need to do that. We can say whatever we want as long as we end it with, but we're Israel. As long as it ends with that, you're good. I can show you stuff that actually comes from white supremacists, from British Israelism. I can show you all types of craziness that completely undercuts my argument. But as long as I end it by saying we're Israel and the church is satanic, all praises, right? It's all praises that. So I just want to share that with you. Like they did a whole 2-hour video trying to convince you that King Arthur was a Hebrew Israelite. What they need to focus on is whether or not the dude actually existed. But they're not gonna do the research. They don't care because they're already conditioned the audience for them to take whatever they dish out. It's just what it is. And you guys are smarter than that. The other members of IUIC that watch these videos, you guys are smarter than that. If you want dignity, come get this gospel. That's where you find your real dignity. That's where you reclaim your original factory settings as an imager of God. That's when you get your identity and your dignity and your respect. That's when you get it. Not by reading fugazi sources about King Arthur being black. Accept the gospel. Pledge your loyalty to Yeshua. Get your identity, then you get your dignity. And then you truly be united with Christ. Come on, guys. You guys could do it, man. Don't let these guys, these quote unquote teachers of IUIC, beguile you in this manner. It's disrespectful what they're doing to you. They're playing in your face, and they're like, they're never gonna notice. We can say whatever we want. It don't matter. Make them be more uncomfortable with doing this to you guys. Or better yet, just leave. And actually come to the Christ of the scriptures. We'll be more than happy to help you guys out and work through whatever it is you got to work through so you could be our brother and sister in Christ. We are here for you. We're here to serve you. All right? But that's it, guys. That is it. So that being said, man, hope you guys have a good day. This is BK signing out. Signing off. We out. Peace.